One take, one take. This is NBA One Take featuring yours truly, Pretty Boy Lakers. This is NBA One Take for your head. NBA One Take for your brain. Coming to you live, Brooklyn, New York. NBA One Take, July 14, 2022. You can subscribe to me on YouTube, Instagram, as well as Facebook and Twitter. Everything Pretty Boy Laker. Now, NBA news. Looks like Utah has made it public. They're open to hear trade scenarios and package interests from teams about one Donovan Mitchell. There's some teams out there that's really interested in Donovan Mitchell. So far, a lot of teams kind of really don't know on how they're going to try to acquire him, because they don't want to risk too much in getting him. Now, that leads to my hometown team, New York Knicks. The Knicks has been talking with the Utah Jazz since the second day of free agency about Donovan Mitchell. They kind of scoffed on letting him go. Not letting him go, I mean necessarily really out there talking about him, because they're trying to facilitate a trade with Rudy Gobert. So they can't talk about Donovan because their plans was to, they seeing what they could get for Rudy Gobert. See, Donovan is not going to get a Rudy Gobert type of deal, because that's not dictative of the market. Minnesota was in a situation where they had to do an overpay from an experienced team, what they needed to go forward. Newsflash as the president, Tim Connolly. Newsflash as ownership. And that's the reason they got Rudy Gobert. And Danny Ainge took advantage of that and fleeced them for all draft capital. Now, eyes are set on Donovan Mitchell. I'm not hearing about teams that's going to build around Mitchell. I don't want to hear that. Donovan Mitchell wants to go to the playoffs. He wants to be successful in the playoffs, and he ultimately wants to try to win an NBA championship. So you're then saying, so what the hell is up with the Knicks? Well, let's talk about the Knicks. The Knicks have a package to offer the Utah Jazz, but to facilitate that, Utah is asking for most likely multiple first-round picks. I think the Knicks are hesitant to give 2 first-round picks, but Utah wants a minimum of 3. So now the Knicks is in a position to do that, but they will need stuff from other teams. And that's when it gets complicated. So they have to use another team in there. They're talking with Hornets, Pistons. Onetake shit. What's the other team she told me? Yeah, my little things. But try to get the other team. That Charlotte sets up on Instagram to somebody about the other team and stuff like that. But they trying, because Danny Ainge would take Julius Randle and possibly Evan Fournier. Because I think Fournier, he could flip Fournier into something else. But Danny Ainge knows what he's doing. But so then, you gotta understand, with Utah, Dwayne Wade's part of the ownership group, right? Dwayne Wade wants him to stay, but their feeling is that he'll be a great fit for Donovan Mitchell in Miami. But if you are like really connected to the NBA, Pat Riley and Danny Ainge has a disdain for each other. Yeah, this is going back to the 80s. This is going back to the 80s. And Ainge will never do business with Pat Riley, and then vice versa. Yeah, there was some little things, whatever like that. I think over the years I have to really look it up, but I'm gonna tell you something. When you curse each other out on the phone like that, it was some phone call conversation. Yeah, and then when Ray Allen decided to leave Boston and go to Miami, Danny Ainge accused Pat Riley of tampering. And Riley told him to fuck off. And then that brewed something really, really deep. Even though Danny had been trying to trade Ray Allen for the past year and a half. All types of teams, all types of deals, everything. None could come back. He was just trying to get a first. He was getting greedy, and Ray Allen knew it, and he was pissed off. Because he knew they wasn't going to give him the extension or the money he wanted. So, in doing so, Ainge felt he tampered, did it purposely, gave Ray Allen all these incentives and everything, signing with the Heat just to get back at Boston. And Danny Ainge spoke to, I think, several players about that, explained to them why all this happened, adding more fuel to the fire, and called Ray Allen a snake. and not animosity between one Ray Allen and players on the Celtics, Garnett, Rondo, and others, even Paul Pierce. Something Danny Ainge put more fuel and time into. And he preached loyalty. He preached a lot of stuff to these guys. And that, Riley explained that to Ray Allen. And Ray Allen said he'll never ever go back to Boston. There's a lot of history here. I can't even go through the real detailed history because I say this is NBA Onetake. Everything I got off the top of the dome. There's a lot of things I would have to research on that, but Miami had a package to give to Utah, but they can't get it because Riley versus Danny Ainge. So, what that lead? Donovan Mitchell may stay in Utah, play for somewhat of a lottery team with a young coach, Will Hardy. And Danny Ainge don't want the young coach to come in there with Donovan Mitchell with all these clouds permeating over the franchise. He's going to make a deal, but not one with Pat Riley. The Knicks is in the front seat. They know it. They just can't fuck it up. But this is NBA Onetake's Pretty Boy Laker, and I'm out.